ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायण स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराण मुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैत अमृत वर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी आम त्वाम अनुसंधामि भगवत गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमो अस्तु ते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल अरविंद आयत पत्र नेत्र येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः प्रपन्न पारिजाताय तोत्र वेत्र एकपानये ज्ञान मुद्राय कृष्णाय गीता अमृत दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोगदा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत वसुदेव सुतम देवं कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवैरन्नदीक वर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलं गीता अर्थगंधोटकम् नानाख्यानक केसरम हरिकथा संबोधन अबोधितम् लोके सज्जन शतपदे रह रह पे पिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल पध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरिम यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम् यं ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवे वेदैः साङ्प्रद क्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यम सामगा ध्यानवस्थे तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. So chapter 17, verse number 5. That's where we are starting today's class. And we are learning about the faith, the Shraddha. So in this verse number 5 and 6, they go together. So number 5 is Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapajana dam ahankar sanyuktaha kam rag balanvata. Ashastra vihitam, not enjoined by the scriptures. Ghoram, ghoram means severe. Tapyante, practice. Ye means who, tapaha, austerity, janaha, people. Dam ahankar sanyuktaha. Dam is the hypocrisy. Ahankar is egoism. So given to hypocrisy and egoism, kam rag balanvataha, by the force of lust and attachment. Okay, so kam means the desires, the worldly desires, the selfish desires. Those are called kam. Kam, rag, balanvata. Those people who practice severe austerities, not enjoined by the scriptures, given to hypocrisy and egoism, impelled by the force of desires and attachment. Continuation of this is in the verse number 6. Karshyantaha Shri Rasyam Bhoot Gramam Achetasa Mam cha ev antaha Sharirstham Tan Vidhi Asur Nishchayan. Karshyantaha means torturing. Shri Rasyam in the body. Bhoot Gramam, all the elements. And what are the elements? These elements with which this body is made up of. Earth, water, fire, air, space, elements. Achetasaha, senseless. Ma means me, cha means and, ev means even, antaha sharir stham, who dwells in the body within. Okay. Tan, them, vidhi, no, asur nishchayan, to be of demonic resolve. Okay. So if you remember in the beginning, Arjuna asked Lord Krishna a question about the faith. So in order to answer Arjun's question, Lord Krishna is elaborating on this. Okay, so he says, senselessly torturing all the elements in the body. And me also. So hurting the body also and torturing me also. Me means the Atma, the Paramatma, God in us, who dwells within the body. Know these to be of demonic resolves. So faith is visible even in people who perform severe austerities. But the basis of the knowledge is not there. So their faith is in the mode of ignorance. So those who abuse and torture their own physical body, they are disrespecting the Supreme Lord in their body. Because he says, I reside within them. All these are contrary to the recommended path of the scriptures. Because that's why he said in the end of the last chapter also, we got to live our life according to the ordinances of the scriptures. Sure, faith should be there, but faith can be of three kinds too. So he says this kind of a faith is tamasic, the lowest kind. We know that in the name of religion, or even sometimes people use even the name of spirituality, they say we are doing it. But senseless austerities, if a person is performing, and what are those senseless? Some people will say, we are not going to eat at all, or stay up all night, or for weeks and months standing on one leg, or taking a bath in ice cold water, or having during severe summer months sitting near the fire. In fact, fire from every side, Panchagni. So Lord Krishna is calling those austerities as severe, terrible, senseless. So this ghoram word. So he says they harm their bodies also, and they give me the pain also. Okay?
Did you say they were tamasic?
Tamasic.
Tamasic, okay.
Tamasic. It's the lowest kind. Mm-hmm. So he says why do they do that? He says given to egoism and hypocrisy. Okay, they want others to worship them. So it's out of ego and out of hypocrisy. Okay, so the life cannot express its fullest beauty through such a broken austerity. So extreme tap, according to Lord Krishna, is stupid, and he's condemning it over here, basically. Intelligent control is tap, not a cruel self-torture. Okay, we need to control ourselves. But if we are torturing ourselves, that is senseless. That's what Lord Krishna is saying. Okay?
Hersh, you have a question.
Sure.
So on this tap, in the past, in Satyug, or, back so many years ago, thousands of years ago, they did stop to get a boon from God, right? So that tap was tamasic. Why would they show up and give them, the boon of whatever they wanted?
Yeah, they got the boon, but there was not purity of the mind. What did they do with that boon?
Okay, yeah, used it tamasically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, when you do something, you will have something. You exercise a lot, you'll have a strong muscles. Okay. But what do you do with those strong muscular body? Mm-hmm. If the mind is not pure. So the whole idea of a tap is to purify your body and purify your mind.
Okay.
Yes, Usha. Unmute yourself, please.
So Lord Krishna says that doing this extreme tap is bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
But then what about all the rishis and saints who do the extreme tap? So is that bad also?
Yeah, when you don't have the right motive, when you're not purifying your mind and intellect along with, then it is bad.
So it's the motive behind the action.
Motive behind, it's like you got to learn how to control yourself. He's going to talk about it a little bit more when he talks about tap.
Okay.
So you will see that some of your questions will be answered there. But the rishis and munis who did, if you look at the end result, it was not self-realization.
Yeah.
Because ultimate goal for all of this is to know yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they attained something in this world, but it was again a hypocrisy. Ultimate good he did not get from that kind of a tap.
But
Okay?
the rishis are also doing it to achieve, I don't know, peace or knowledge. So that's
Yeah, if the tap is to achieve knowledge, that is okay. But most of the time we see these severe austerities are just to overpower somebody else.
But
Do you remember that Ravan, his tap, what was that?
right.
So
Yeah.
that nobody can kill me.
Yeah.
Hiranyakashyap. Why did he do that tap? But then on the other hand, we saw tap done by Prahlad and Dhruv also.
Mm-hmm.
They did the tap too, but their tap was for self-realization. They just wanted to see God. They said that we are not going to get out of here away from our resolve until God comes. And Dhruv was a small boy and God did come. Why did Parvati do the tap? Parvati wanted Lord Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to see what is the motive behind the tapis too.
But Hersh, जैसे Bhagirath did also tap to bring the Ganges on the
But that
earth.
was for the benefit of the society.
Society, right?
For the higher purpose. If it's for the higher purpose, then it's fine. But if it's a selfish, full of selfishness, you want to control somebody, or you want to look better than what you are, then it's a senseless. So tap is not bad. It is a motive behind the tap. Could be bad or good or ugly. Okay. So now there are three kinds of actions we all do. We eat food, we worship, we do the tap also, and we give the charity also. So it's called ahar, yagya, tap, and dan. These are the four. So these four we all as human beings we do. And all of these four come under the category of sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. So do not get confused with all these verses now. But remember the next three verses, he is going to tell us what is a sattvic food, what is a rajasic food, what is a tamasic food. Food we eat several times a day. So let's look at number 7. Ahar tu api sarvasya trividha bhavati priya yagya tapa tatha danam tesham bhedam imam shrinu. So over here he's telling us that these are the categories I'm going to describe in the next verse. So ahar is food, tu means indeed, api is also, sarvasya of all, trividha threefold, bhavati is priya means dear, yagya tap tatha danam. So yagya is the worship, tapa is the austerity, tatha means also, danam is the alms giving. Te sham there, bhedam distinction, imam this, shrinu means here. Okay. See, mind and body, they impact each other. So that's why the food we eat influences our nature and vice versa. If we have certain kind of a nature, we would like to have that kind of a food. If we eat that food, that kind of a nature gets strengthened. So the food also which is dear to each is threefold, as also worship, austerity, and alms giving. And Lord Krishna is saying here the distinction of these. Okay, this is just pay attention to it. I'm going to tell you something very important. So Lord Krishna has enumerated the topics that he is going to discuss in the next several verses. The temperament influences that govern the mind, and its thought life express themselves in the departments of the activities. See, these are the departments, different departments of the activities: eating food, worshipping, giving charity, or doing the austerities. These are the main things which we do. Okay, we study Upanishads also over here at this ashram. There is one Upanishad which is called Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad says, Ahar Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhi. See, ahar, that food has that kind of an impact on our mind. Sure, there is a part of our food which just goes into the waste. That is like a grossest part, the coarsest part. Then the subtle part becomes flesh, and the subtlest part becomes the mind. So that's why the food which we eat has the effect on the mind. Food which we eat has the effect on our body also. Okay, so by eating pure food, the mind becomes pure. And the reverse is also true. People with pure mind prefer pure food. Okay, so they like that kind of a food. So now let's look at what is a sattvic food, the pure food. Because we want to know, we want to make our mind pure. We want to have a pure life. Because we know with the purity, we'll have a happiness also, joy also, long life also. So, Ayu, Sattva, Bal, Arogya, Sukh, Priti, Vivardhana, Rasya, Snigdha, Sthira, Hradha, Ahara, Satvik, Priya. Ayu means life. Sattva means purity. Bal is strength. Arogya means health. See, rog is a sickness. Arog means health. Sukh is joy. Priti means cheerfulness. Vivardhana means increase. Okay, so those which increase life, purity, strength, health, joy, cheerfulness. Rasya means savory or juicy. Snigdha, smooth. Sathira, substantial. Hradha, agreeable. That means nutritious. Ahara, the foods. Satvik, priya, are dear to the sattvic. So sattvic mind will like this food. If we have that kind of a food, we'll ultimately have a sattvic mind also. That's what he's trying to tell us. So the foods which increase life, purity, strength, health, joy, and cheerfulness, which are savory, smooth, substantial, and agreeable, are dear to the sattvic. Sattvic. Okay. So it's sattvic over here means which takes us towards the spiritual urge. We become more and more spiritual with the sattvikta. So they like only such diet which increases the vitality, not sheer bulk, which really supplies the energy for meditative purposes, which discovers for him a secret kind of a strength. It's not talking about just a physical strength, a secret strength. With the secret strength, we can resist the temptations of the sense objects. And that's how we learn how to live healthy also. Otherwise, if we are just moving towards the temptations all the time, we feel weak. We'll suffer a break in our regular sadhana. Even at the physical level, if you get sick often, how are you going to do the sadhana? Every other day, you are having either a stomach ache or a back ache or a knee ache or a headache. How are you going to do the sadhana? So that's why for a yoga abhyasi, paying attention to what we eat is extremely important. So sattvic food. So these kind of a people, they'll have a natural inclination to take food which will increase their joy, preeti, and inner cheerfulness. Okay. So in summary, they choose that kind of a food which will be clean, wholesome, and they don't want to take a chance to get sick. That's the inclination they have because they know that healthy body is needed to do the sadhana. So sweet, soft, nourishing, agreeable foods are dear to the sattvic people. They eat to live. They do not live to eat. Okay? Because we all know that food has certain effects upon the eater. Not only our inner nature is built by the type of a food we consume, but the inner nature in turn commands our tastes. And we find very often that we have developed an irresistible appetite for certain types of food. Okay, so they are careful about it. Sattvic people are very careful about what they eat. Okay, now let's look at Rajsik. Katu, amal, lavan, atyushan, tikshna, ruksha, vidahina, ahara, rajasya, ishtaha, dukh, shokamya, prada. Katu, bitter. Amal, sour. See, sattvic was what? Sweet, nourishing, juicy. Over here, bitter, sour. Lavan is excessively salty. Atiyushna, excessively hot. Tikshna, pungent. Ruksh, dry. Vidahina, burning. Ahara, foods. Rajasya, of the Rajasic. Ishta, liked. Dukh, shok, amye prada, are productive of the pain, grief, and disease. Okay, dukh, shok, amye prada. The foods that are bitter, sour, saline, excessively hot, pungent, dry, and burning are liked by the Rajasic and are productive of pain, grief, and disease. So this is like a Rajasic means a person with the passionate kind of a desire. They will desire such food that have a strong flavor, dense taste, bitter, sour, hot, pungent, all those things. So at that time when they're eating, people feel that they are feeling energized. But the effect of this is bad in the long run, or maybe even after a few hours, the wrong. So from these verses, we can understand when the mind improves, the thoughts improve.
Harji, can I?
Tastes change also.
Harji,
Yes.
he says such foods, the Rajasic ones, produce pain, grief, and disease.
Mm-hmm.
That is very like definite way of saying pain, grief, and disease, isn't it too strong for salty and hot and pungent? Uh, I mean, the Rajsik was good health, tasty, nutritious.
No,
And
Sattvic was. Yeah, Sattvic
yeah,
was good health.
and then
yeah.
the Rajsik are ill health, pain, grief. Why pain and grief? Maybe make you
Pain,
uncomfortable.
pain when you eat something very bitter, doesn't it give you pain? It's painful to eat when something is bitter.
But some people enjoy bitter.
They have, yeah. So that's why Rajsik people will enjoy.
So here we are talking of the Rajsik.
Yeah, we are
They-
talking about the Rajsik. Ultimately, it will give them pain also. So he's talking about the after effects too.
Okay.
Okay,
Grief.
because momentarily they might think that, yeah, this is good. But eventually it will give the pain also. It will give the grief also. That is, yeah.
And disease.
Disease also, yes, excessive. Don't we say that excessive salt is not good for us?
Yeah, but true. But this is all we eat.
Because
Majority
we
of
are
us eat.
Rajsik. That's why this shows that we are Rajsik. Predominantly, human beings are Rajsik. That's why this sounds familiar and we don't want to read that part.
I feel one could have used milder words than pain and grief.
I'm gonna answer your comment the same way I always do. When you meet Lord Krishna, tell him that. Okay?
I think
He could have used milder language, but it is up to him. He wanted to just bring this message to us very clearly. Very clearly.
So this will give us encouragement to go towards Sattvic instead of staying in Rajsik.
I mean, I could,
Too much
this
of it.
makes
Okay, if this doesn't sound good, let's look at the Tamsik.
That's what I mean. It's almost
Yeah,
Tamsik in the
if this
Rajsik.
doesn't suit us, so we don't like to be Rajsik because we are studying Bhagavad Gita, we want to be Sattvic. Okay, so Tamsik. Yat yamam gat rasam puti paryushitam cha yat ushishtam api cha amadhyam bhojanam tamas priyam. Yat yamam, that means stale. You know, stale, yam means 3 hours. Because the whole day, 24 hours, is divided into 8 yams. 8 yams. So 3 hours is what 1 yam. So anything cooked and left outside for more than 3 hours, it's stale according to him. According to the scriptures. Gat rasam, tasteless. Puti, stinking. Paryushitam, rotten. Cha means and, yat means which. Ushtitam, leftovers. Api means also, cha means and, amedhyam, impure. Bhojanam, food, tamas priyam, liked by the tamsik. So that which is stale, tasteless, stinking, and rotten. Refuse and impure is the food liked by the tamsik. So if you start eating this kind of a food, you'll have a taste for it. And you are moving more and more towards the tamsik. So first, if you're tamsik, you like it. When you eat what you like, you become even more tamsik. Okay.
Hershi, Manju here.
Yes, Manju.
So I have a question. When you said put word is for stinking.
Mhm.
So is it true like when we die, Is it like, does it take 3 hours for the body to stink?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
right. It starts
I
to
just
stink.
felt that's where it's coming from, that it's his nature, it's
Yeah.
God's prakriti. He has
Mhm.
created, and he knows exactly which one is
Mhm.
sattvic, what is rajasic, what's tamasic. Those fruits, that because it's God's prakriti.
Yeah,
he
that's
is
right.
he is the knower of this prakriti, and it's created by him.
Yeah.
So that's why he made those statements about the foods also.
Yeah.
And the same body which was perfect in 3 hours starts to stink once so it becomes stale, useless.
Yeah. So basically, he's saying the insanitary and unclean food seems to attract the taste of all people of ignorance. That's the tamsikta. They love to eat impure, filthy food that is not fit for human consumption. Okay. So he's not telling us exactly which food to eat. He's just giving us a clear definition according to the qualities of these foods. Okay. So we can just have our own list. Whatever we eat, where does it fall? Okay. So we got to use our own intellect also here. Okay. So any questions?
Jen has a question. Hershey, Jen.
Yes, Jen.
Just for clarification, in Ratsik foods, some of those things we need. I'm guessing that it's about moderation. So like a lemon is sour, but you take a little lemon in your water. It's not like you're paining yourself by eating something too sour, or we need a little salt on our food.
Yeah. So that's why, Jen, that's why I use the word excessive.
Got it.
Excessive, okay? A little pickle here and there, small amount. But if we just have a big bowl of pickle, we eat it, sure, we're going to get sick.
That is the key word. Excessive or very sour foods.
Yeah.
That can cause
That's
pain or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I said amal is excessively sour, lavan is excessively saltish, atyushan is excessively hot.
So you need moderation in everything.
Moderation, definitely you need moderation. That's Lord Krishna been talking about moderation right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's in food and in life.
Yes, moderation. Yeah.
Is the key.
Yeah.
Hershey, Sujata has a question, Sujata.
Yes, Sujata.
Hey, Hershey, I'm reading the kind of explanation that follows in our book. And in that, he says one becomes free from all bondages after knowing the truth. Gambling, intoxication, illicit sexual relationships, and meat eating are the negative tendencies of human beings. But abstaining from these four pillars is really divine. One must avoid these four pillars. So abstaining from meat eating is equivalent to performing 100 holy sacrifices. And I'm just wondering how he got. I mean, I agree with what he's saying, but I don't quite see the connection in the verses to that.
Yeah, I would say stick to the direct translation right now, because we are talking about only the food here. Okay.
Right.
Not rest of the activities.
Kind of says such as impure food, like people in the mode of ignorance that eat stale and putrid, etc., such as meat eating and alcohol, and so he goes on to say that those are the kind of bondages that leads you to, is what he.
Yeah, because I told you earlier that the food we eat has a direct connection with our thoughts.
Right.
So
right.
tamasic food will cultivate tamasic thoughts. Tamasic thoughts will make us do tamasic actions. Okay, so that's why food is the grossest thing which we put inside us. So that's why we got to be very careful. That's where we have some control.
Right.
Thoughts will have control later on when we become yogis. But food we should be able to control.
Right now.
Okay, but
Yeah.
only when we have a proper knowledge of the food, only then we can. So that's why he says, eat sattvic food. Then you'll start liking sattvic food. And sattvic food will create sattvic thoughts. And sattvic thoughts will create sattvic actions. So, and it will take some time, but first knowledge is needed. Okay. So now in
So Hershey, so all the refrigerated food we eat 2-3 days, or the frozen food we put away, that's all tamasic then.
Definitely. Definitely. We got to just look at it. See, these days we have fridges and the freezers. So some of the nutritious value does go down. But at the same time, we got to be practical. We are not growing right in our backyards either.
Yeah.
When the food is coming from the supermarket, it's not that fresh either.
Yeah.
Okay. So use your own common sense. Okay.
Thanks.
So number 11. Afala kankshi bhi yagya vidhi drashta ya ijyate yeshtavyam ev iti mana samadhaya sa satvika. So now he's talking about the worship, the yagya. So what is a satvik yagya? Because this is the second category. You remember the first category was food. The second is the yagya, the worship. So what is a sattvic worship? Because sometimes people say worship is always sattvic. No, worship can be tamasic also, worship can be rajasic also. So, but first let's learn the sattvic worship. Afala kankshi bhi, without expectation of any reward. Okay. So when you don't desire any fruit, so this is called a nishkam bhakti, not a sakam. Yagya, the worship, vidhi drishtaha, according to the injunction of the scriptures, ordinance of the scriptures. Ya means which ijyate is offered. Ijyate. Okay. Yeshtvayam ought to be offered. Ought to means this is my duty. This is my kartavya. Ev means only, iti means thus, mana means the mind. Samadhai, having fixed. Sa means that, satvika pure. That worship which is offered by people without desire for fruit. That is the first condition. And according to the injunction of the scriptures, what scriptures talk about, with a firm faith that worship is my duty. So three things are over here. One is no desire for the fruit. That doesn't mean fruit won't come. No desire for the fruit. Earlier, when we talked about those rishis, if some people have done those sacrifices or the yagya for the fruit, that was not sattvic. So desire, without desire for the fruit, according to the scriptures, and firm faith that this is my duty, is a sattvic. So remember these three things. Okay. So when we say that no desire, that really means in a spirit of selflessness. The burning anxiety for the fruits of action is like so much part of our personality right now. We've been taught that ever since we were little. So we got to understand that. If you want to become sattvic, get that out of your system. Fruit belongs to the future period. Fruit should not be in our mind while we are doing the action. Fruit will follow, but don't keep the fruit in your mind. Because what you are doing is you are wasting your present energy if you are thinking about the fruit. and required by the scriptures or the ordinance. Scriptures, they say there are 4 kinds of actions. Vedas talk about that, 4 categories. There are kammekaram, which are actions according to certain desires, kamana, kammekaram. Then there's a forbidden actions, nishidkaram. So kammekaram, nishidkaram. Those are the 2 kinds. A sattvic person avoids it. If you want to stay on the platform of sattvic, or we want to rise even above sattvikta, avoid these 2, forbidden actions and actions full of desires. But the other 2 categories we should definitely do. Those are called nitya and naimatik. Nitya means the daily duties. There are certain duties we are supposed to do every day. According to the stage in life, we have different duties, but do those duties. And then there are some special occasion duties. Those are called naimatik. So these 2 should not be avoided. The special occasion is like a Sunday is the day to go to the church or the temple. Or there is some special occasions. Some people keep those fastings on a monthly basis, a weekly basis. Or there's some certain holidays and we are supposed to do certain different kind of duties. So those are fall under naimatik. So these 2 types, nitya and naimatik, together constitute what the scriptures are telling us to do. And scriptures are telling us to stay away from the other 2, nishid and the kamya. Okay, so this is according to the scriptures. This is what scripture is telling. So when he says vidhi drashtaha, this is what he's talking about. And then remember that sacrifice is our duty. Sacrifice. Sacrifice over here means worship. See, yajna means a sacrifice also. Worship is our duty. See, when we worship, what are we are saying? We are saying, God, this is all yours. It is your gratefulness that you are letting me use this. And I thank you. That is a worship. Recognizing that who is the owner of it. Because otherwise, in our own ignorance and arrogance, we think it belongs to us. Nothing belongs to us. Idam namama. So when we worship, we recognize that God is the owner of all of it. Including this body which is made out of 5 elements. Including the air we breathe in. Including the sunlight without which we cannot live. Including this earth itself, where we have gotten everything. It doesn't belong to us. So worship really means, God, this is yours. And I thank you. And I've enjoyed it. See, all the enjoyments, they have been through this body and in this world. So if we never thank God, what kind of a person we will be? That is called worship. So this kind of a person will be happy, who is living a sattvic life, worshipping like this. And what is a Rajasic worship? Let's look at that. I'm going to just quickly do the next 2 also, Rajasic and the Tamasic. So that way we can just clearly see the difference between these. So Rajasic, abhi sanghaye tu phalam, dam artham apicha ev yat, ijyate bhart shreshth, tam yagyam vidhi rajasam, abhi sanghaye, seeking for. Tu means indeed, phalam means fruit. Dam artham, for show off, ostentation. Api means also, cha means and, ev means even, yat means which. Ichyate, offered. Bharat Shresht, best of the Bharats, that is for Arjuna. Lord Krishna uses different names for Arjun, we see that, and Arjun uses for Lord Krishna different names. Tam means that, Yagyam means sacrifice, Vidhi no, Rajsam, Rajsik. The sacrifice or the worship, see sacrifice, sometimes if you use the word sacrifice, it just takes us somewhere else. Worship, Yagya really means worship. Okay? So worship which is offered, O best of the Bharats, seeking for fruit and for show off. Know that to be a Rajsik Yagya. So in other words, when the worship becomes a form of business with God, if it's performed with the great pomp and show and selfish spirit, that is Rajsik. Whenever in our mind it comes, what will I get in return? I go to temple, I go to church all the time, what will I get? That's a Rajsik. Okay? So with a view to gaining a fruit. So you can see that in contrast to this, the first one, no fruit in mind. Over here, with the fruit first. What happens when we have the fruit in our mind? There's a too much preoccupation with the anxiety and the worries. Will I get it or not? These kind of people stay nervous also. That's why one of the tests is, if we stay nervous, if we stay stressed, if there's a lot of anxiety in us, that's a Rajasic personality. Okay? So they grow more and more nervous with their own imaginations. They always live, Rajasic person always live in an atmosphere of fear. Because they're attached to the fruit, they're always worried whether I'll get it or not. So there's a fear. Or they are always wondering whether I'll get my chosen goal or not. And when he says Dambu Artham, that means they are doing the worship also for satisfying their vanity. They want to exhibit their wealth or even their knowledge. So that's how they prove themselves to be of show people of society. That's Rajsikta. Rajsikta. And there are a lot of people in the society which make these kind of sacrifices, these kind of worships. So even though from outside looks like divine acts, but they don't yield the divine result. Because action has a stronger factor to it, which is the motive behind the action. So motive behind this action can seem like, yeah, you are singing the glories of God, but inside you just want others to know that you are singing the glories of God. Okay? So these worships undertaken are to be understood as Rajasic. And again, we don't like this. If you don't like this, let's look at the Tamasic. I think Urmil has a question. Yes, Urmil.
You said that these are worship. Sacrifice is yagna or yajante?
Yajante means you are doing the yagya.
Oh.
Okay? Yajante. So yagya also, so worship. That's why I said it's a worship. And
so not sacrifice.
Huh? Yeah.
Not
sacrifice throws us off then.
Oh.
So that's why to me, I think the proper translation for yagya or yajante is worship. Okay? Yajante word is doing the yagya.
Oh.
And yagya means worship. So yajante means doing the worship. They are doing that worship. Okay. So to me, I think sacrifice has initially when people look at the sacrifice word, they think they are giving away something and they don't like it. But when we say worship, it has the right connotation. Because I know some translators, they have used the word sacrifice.
That's why I got confused.
Yeah. To me, I think use the word over here in this respect, use the word worship. Okay.
Okay.
Let's look at number 13 also, then I'll stop talking and you can ask questions. Vidhihinam asrishta annam mantrahinam adakshinam Shraddha virhitam yagyam tamsam parichakshate. Vidhihinam, without keeping to ordinance. Like a vidhi, there is everything there's a certain rules to it. If you don't follow those rules, so vidhihinam asrishta annam, in which no food is distributed. Mantrahinam, which is devoid of the mantras. What is a mantra? Mantra is a name of God, where we are thanking God. Mantrahinam. Dakshinam, devoid of any dakshina. No alms giving, no helping somebody. Shraddha virhitam, which is devoid of faith. You're just doing it. You really don't have any faith in it. Yagyam, the worship. Tamsam, tamsik. Parichakshate, they declare. Who declares?
Tamsik.
No, they declare over here really means it's like the ancient, the yogis, the wise people, that's what they declare, that this is tamsic. So they declare that worship to be tamsic, which is contrary to the ordinance of the scriptures, in which no food is distributed, which is devoid of mantras and charity gifts, and which is devoid of faith. Every moment in our life, we have choices regarding what to do. And there are proper actions which are beneficial for the society and us also. And who decides which is beneficial and the harmful? The scriptures do. So that's why it said in injunction of the scriptures serve as the guide maps. And whenever there is a doubt, we consult these scriptures again. The people, tamasic people, are those in the mode of ignorance. First of all, they don't have any faith in the scriptures anyway. So that's why they don't consult with the scriptures. But everybody likes to do some kind of a religious activity. So they do carry out religious ceremonies, but they disregard the ordinance of the scriptures. And ordinance of the scripture is, hey, name of God should be recited, mantra. Poor should be fed, gift should be given, and you should have a faith. So tamasic people disobey all the prescriptions laid down in the scriptures. Okay. So that's why this kind of a worship becomes the lowest kind. Lowest kind. So food, clothing, shelter, because everything belongs to God. So it's our duty to share it with others. So when the rituals are conducted without mantra, without distribution of the money or food, Lord Krishna is classifying it as tamasic. Tamasic. Okay, I'll stop it here. And then we have discussed what? Only ahar and the worship. Two more topics are left. What are those? What are the other two? Tap and dan. So he's going to tell us this tap. First, he's going to tell us tap, austerity, can be at the physical level, at the verbal level, and at the mental level. Then he's going to tell us all these three kinds of austerities can be sattvic also, rajasic also, tamasic also. So a lot of people get confused when they read that part. Just remember this. And then 3 types of alms giving also. The dan also. Sattvic dan, Rajasic dan, Tamasic dan. It's a lot of knowledge we get over here. Very practical chapter for people like us. So any question before I do the Shanti part?
Sujata?
Harshji, I think he kind of says this in chapter 2 when he describes a karma, how to act, and or even our nitya karams are actually, our everyday nitya karams are an act of offering or worship.
Yes, yes.
And so I think that perhaps we need to remember that you don't have to have a big ritual, but our every action has to be guided by these principles.
Yeah, every action. But what happens, rituals, they have the meaning also in life.
Right.
Okay, because that through the rituals, we are showing the guidelines to the youngsters also. It's our duty. Through the rituals, the society comes together also. So big rituals are needed also. That's what those namatic karam. Okay, yeah. Sunday worship, Thursday's havan. All those things are needed on our birthdays, anniversaries, New Year's, Diwali, Christmas, Thanksgiving. All those are namatic. They are needed too.
But they're not sufficient.
No, every day should be, but they are needed though. They are not, they have a place in the society, in our life also. We need those kind of occasions in our life. Yeah. Okay, those festivals are very important in life. They keep people together, and we need a little zest there too. Okay. Yeah. So to me, I think they ultimately, yeah, you are right that our every action should show. But most of the people, the actions will show only when we do these. And some people's actions are already doing, because we are carrying forward a lot of our karmas from the back also. Who knows how many worships we have done before? And that's why we are more careful about it, right? So, but the next generation we can teach only through the outside, outwardly rituals, the worships. Okay. So
Veronica has a question.
Yes, Veronica.
Yes, I understand tap meant austerity. I just wondered about dan. What does dan stand?
Dan is the charity.
Oh, charity.
Okay. Charity, because as human beings, we are supposed to share also with others, right? So that's a charity. Okay. So he's going to talk about that also. So
okay.
Yeah, good. Anybody else?
Mahendra bhai?
To me, it looks like whatever we are doing, all our action in today's world are tamasic. I don't think we have ever reached to the sattvic portion yet.
Okay, all right. So, but now we know, now we can make an effort, right? So, yes. So far, if we have not reached, but now we have a chance. We have a chance. Okay. So start with the food. That's where we have more control. Even if it doesn't taste good right now, make an effort. And whenever any kind of a result comes in our mind, just say the name of God. I don't want to think about the result. So, but you're right. We are in a Kali Yuga. Our mind has been colored like that. So we can still make a difference, even living in this dark age. Okay. To bring out light. Light is still there. It's not that light is not there. We got to just make an effort to bring out that light or recognize the light. Okay? But a good point though, Mahendraji. That's true. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. I want to speak.
Sure, go ahead.
To speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I share? Okay. This is Smita.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I always, when I was growing up, we used to do upas and all those things a lot. And many times there was a motive behind that upwas.
Mm-hmm.
That let my son get a job, let my this will happen. And they actually bargain with God.
Yes.
Bargain.
Yes.
If I do this upwas, you have to give me this.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized it much, much later. God is not the bargaining party. You cannot bargain with God that, oh, if today's cricket match is won, I will break the nariyal. Otherwise, I will throw stones at you, at Hanuman's. That's what in Bombay people used to say, tell them. So I feel that this bargaining with the God by doing upvas or Santoshi Mata and all this, we we have to really think what is the ulterior motive behind this upvas.
Yeah,
Do you
and that's why Lord Krishna is saying that that's a Rajsik, and we don't want to stay at a Rajsik level. Yeah. He says whenever there's a motive behind our worship,
Yes.
that's a Rajsik. Then we are creating a business deal with God. No, there's no business. It's our duty. See, when we do it from like it's my duty to worship God,
Yes.
then it becomes sattvic. Okay, so yeah, in the society it has been done like that. You are right, but now we got to just rise above this, just like Mahendra.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, our
Absolutely.
actions are tamasic. Hey, now we know. Now I'm gonna just I have gotten a chance in this beautiful human life to make a change. It's
Yes.
not that we are stuck there. We can make a change. So we
Yes.
got to not have the desires, selfish desires, or our worship motivated by desires.
Yes.
We don't want to do that anymore. Even though we did it before, we're gonna just move on towards the sattvikta. Okay,
There
that's
is
why we sit down and study, so that we can make a change.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And there is an element of anxiety also behind
that's
all
also
these
Rajsikta.
upvas.
Yeah, whenever we have a end result in our mind, I am doing this, I want this, anxiety will come. So that's
Yes.
why Lord Krishna again and again says, do not do the actions, definitely do, but do not do it for a particular result. Yes, we got to just train our mind properly.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the benefit of
Thank you.
Bhagavad
Thank
Gita.
you.
But you are right, though. You are right, Samita. Yes. Okay, let me
Thank
do
you.
the Shanti part. We can have more questions and comments later on also, but I know some of you like to leave. So, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Okay, we can end the